well. If we have job growth and we have jobs returning to our country and we have, values coming back to where they used to be, I definitely see that, coming in the future.
And Garrett, I recognize this is a bit of a moving target, but is there any indication of the scale of these tariffs?
Well, so the president's top trade advisor says they expect to raise $100 billion a year on the auto tariffs alone, $600 billion on the entire tariff package. Of course, that's money that will be paid by American businesses and consumers in the form of higher prices. Lester?
All right, Garrett Haig, thanks. Now to President Trump's answer in our exclusive interview suggesting he could try for re-election for a third term despite the constitutional term limit. Peter Alexander reports now. Fallout tonight.
Tonight, new fallout after President Trump did not rule out the possibility of a third term, even though it's prohibited by the 22nd Amendment of the Constitution.
People are asking me to run, and there's a whole story about running for a third term. I don't know. I never looked into it. They do say there's a way you can do it, but I don't know about that. But I want to do a fantastic job.
In an phone interview, NBC's Kristen Welker asked the president about a possible scenario where Vice President Vance is elected with President Trump as his running mate, and Vance steps aside. The president saying that's one method, but there are others too, saying he would not talk about them. Still, that could require amending the Constitution to allow Trump to run for re-election.
There's no proposal to change the Constitution right now.
Telling reporters the president was not being serious.
I think he's probably having some fun with it.
President Trump about a third term.
No, I think I'm not allowed to run again. I'm not sure. Am I allowed to run again?
But the president told news joking. Meanwhile, as Tesla becomes a target of new vandalism and violence, the company's CEO, a top Trump ally, Elon Musk, hosted a town hall in Wisconsin ahead of a crucial state Supreme Court election tomorrow. Musk offering money to voters there who signed a petition against what he calls activist judges, handing out a pair of $1 million checks last night. Democrats accuse him of trying to buy the seat, but Musk says he's just trying to energize voters in a state Trump won last fall.
If the people that voted for President Trump simply vote on Tuesday, we will win. That's actually all it takes. Just vote. Boom, done. Victory.
And meanwhile, Peter, in the midst of the ceasefire talks, President Trump is again criticizing Russian President Putin.
Lester, President Trump tells NBC News that he is, quote, very angry at Putin for criticizing Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, now threatening to impose additional tariffs. He says 25 to 50% on Russian oil if Putin stands in the way of a deal. Lester?
Peter Alexander, thank you. Now to the urgent race to rescue survivors from that powerful earthquake in Southeast Asia. Officials now saying at least 2,000 people have died. Janice Mackey-Freyer is there tonight.
Tonight, nearly 4 days after the earthquake, the rush to save lives and extraordinary stories of survival. A woman 5 months pregnant carried out of the debris to applause. A child freed by Chinese rescue teams. And 2 girls filming the hours they spent trapped under a collapsed hotel with their grandmother before, incredibly, they were freed. In Thailand, this building came crashing down when the earthquake hit, trapping nearly 80 construction workers inside. This woman's husband among them. I cannot talk about it, she says. It's unspeakable. U.S. military personnel now here to help with the search. The magnitude 7.7 earthquake was felt for hundreds of miles. In China, nurses at a maternity ward were holding on to babies as the hospital shook. With an ongoing civil war inside Myanmar, international aid is only now trickling in.
It's one of the most complex emergencies on the planet, and focus right now getting those supplies in.
In Mandalay, families are sleeping on the streets, fearing aftershocks. While here in Bangkok, signs of life in the mountain of debris where workers remain trapped.
And Janice, we see all that destruction behind you. What are rescuers telling you tonight?
Lester, Crews have been working around the clock here with drones and other special equipment, but they're up against 7 stories of concrete and debris. They're very aware of that golden time window that rescuers have to reach survivors. It's 72 hours and it has passed, but officials say they will keep digging to try to get everyone out. Lester?
An amazing effort. All right, Janice, thanks. After days of searching for U.S. service members who went missing in Lithuania, 3 of their bodies have been